Hello everybody and welcome to the first of our masterclasses this September, where we're going to be looking at the theme of home visits and thinking about the benefits of running home visits and some of the key tips I've got for organising them. Now, every Monday I will be launching a different masterclass for you, and I want these to be as useful as possible. So if there's any topics or any issues that you'd like me to cover, please just get in touch and I'll do my best to try and answer these for you. Now, we'll also be recording these sessions, so if you're unable to make them live or you want to rewatch bits and make notes, then that's fine. They'll just be shared on my Facebook page for you to see. Okay, so home visits. I always used to start my September by running home visits. I'd block out a week of time, and during that week, we would have five visits roughly per day, where 2 adults would go to visit the child at home. I always booked in for 2 adults because then it allowed one adult to sit down with the parent to discuss any paperwork, go through any forms that needed doing, while the other adult had a chance to play with the child and get to know them. Now, I think home visits are a really valuable thing to include as part of your transition into school or nursery. I think starting school or nursery is a very anxious time for all of those involved. I often felt quite anxious meeting new children as a teacher, thinking about what they would be like and, how I was going to plan for them and get to know them. And it's that period of change, isn't it? It just leaves you feeling a little bit unsettled. And if we think about it for children, this is one of the most significant things that's ever going to happen to them. Starting school and starting nursery, it's a major life event. So we have to do our best to get it right and allow for it to run smoothly. As a parent, you're trusting a professional to look after your young child, the most precious thing to you. And that again probably fills you with lots of anxiety. Or maybe you've got questions that you want to know about. So working, in this sort of way, one-to-one with an educator from the setting just allows any of those questions to be asked in a personal way, and you can begin to form that really good relationship. Now, during the home visit, as I said, I usually have one adult that's sat with the parents, talking to them, getting to know the family and filling out any of the paperwork. Now, I like to have a little booklet that the members of staff that do the home visits can just work through. And it also acts as a really good prompt for discussion. Now, for me, some of the nurseries that I've worked in have been in areas where we've got a lot of families that have got children with English and additional language. So we often found that we came across the language barrier when we did our home visits. And this can be really, really awkward. So it's important that we think ahead and plan for this. So I like to have a booklet of information for each family, but I would make sure within that I had lots of big colour photographs so that we could use those as a visual stimulus, and it just helps to kind of get across any key messages as well. So for instance, when we're talking about one of the most common questions, what does my child need to wear when they come to nursery? We can point to those examples and we can show some photographs of, what's expected then. And then I like to leave this booklet with the family as well so that they can go through it with the child and, look through it in their own time and just become familiar. So within the booklet, what kind of things do I include? Well, I have some of the key school information or nursery information in there. Things like the timings of the day, the term times, and perhaps the rhythm of the day as well. So how we organise our sessions, how children might have free access to their snack and to their water, and the fresh fruit that they will have available to them. I talk about, if we've got younger children, what the sleeping arrangements might be, where children go for their lunch, because these all tend to be areas that can cause a little bit of worry. So any time really where there's a transition as part of the day, I like to have that covered within the booklet that we give out to families, just so they've got that there as a reference point. Now, perhaps if you offer anything extra and additional, like your PE sessions or music, dance, you could include those as part of your booklet as well. So I have all of that information in there. I also like to have a little bit of information about the curriculum and how they can be expecting their child to learn while they're with us. Maybe some photographs of the types of areas of provision that we set up. Maybe some ideas for how we teach formal things like the phonics if the children are a little bit older, just to give the parents as much information as they can. And I'll use all of this as a talking point throughout the home visit so that we can go through these and make sure everything's covered. We also like to make sure that we collect key information as well. So I usually volunteer to fill out the paperwork for families because well, I don't know about you, but I've worked with a lot of families that have maybe not been too confident at filling forms out, or maybe understanding what's expected of them, or how to spell things even. So I just try and take that pressure off them and offer to complete them myself. So again, it just builds into that discussion as well, and helping us get to know the family and the child. So hopefully that helps a little bit with the actual content. I will attach to our video a list of the paperwork that we take and any of the key parts of the information for you that we ask for, just so you've got a copy of that. Now, the other adult is usually busy working with the child. If the child's a little bit shy, then we don't force any interactions, and we just sit down on the floor and just join in the conversation as a whole family. And usually the child, if they are a little bit shy, they'll watch, and sometimes you get a sneaky little smile come from them, but the majority of the time they do end up showing us something or initiating an interaction before we leave. And I feel the important thing here is just not to force anything and make the child come out of their comfort zone. Now, I like to take a handy bag of resources with me too. So I often take things like pencils and paper, because most children do enjoy drawing a picture of something that they like, or mark making. And then I often ask if it's okay to take this back to nursery or school with me. And then when the child starts, they can see their lovely picture up on display in the setting. And it just adds to that sense of belonging again. I like to take along some books as well. So when I did my home visits last year with my 3 and 4 year olds, one of the best books I was to take along was Dear Zoo. And I think it created lots of talking points, because it's very it's got lots of repetition as a story, so it allowed for the children to join in with it if they felt comfortable. And it just helped me get to know them as well, and kind of start making kind of an understanding about where their learning was at. So that was good. Often children want to show you their favourite toys, and that's lovely as well to see, because it helps to, again, just build up that relationship with them. I like to ask the child and the parents what their favourite toys are, or what their favourite things to do are, so that when they do come in for that first few days, we can make sure we've got that out in our provision. So, if it's a little girl that loves playing with the dinosaurs, we can make sure we've got those out for her to access. And it just helps with that ease of transition as well. Then the last thing that we try to do before we leave, and this is very Reggio inspired, because most of the settings that I've worked with are very Reggio inspired. So we've kind of taken this from the work that we've been doing with that. And what we like to do is hopefully the whole family, hopefully we've got some of the key people in the child's family available during the home visit. And I like to get a photograph of the family all together, and I take a lovely photograph, print it out when I get back to school, and I've usually just got some lovely IKEA frames, or I've collected some from a charity shop from over the summer. Or another idea I've tried, so I've had one of those lovely photograph trees you can get, and I've just printed the photographs out, and either peg the photos onto the tree or display them in a frame in the main kind of entrance area into the setting, so that the children can see it on their first day and they can again just get that sense of, I belong here, this is an area that I can feel really secure in, and it's just a nice talking point as well. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully I've kind of talked to you a little bit about why we do it and how we organise it. If you do have any questions, then just let me know, pop them into the comments box and I'll do my best to answer them. But it's been great to work with you and share some of my top tips, and I will join you again next week for my next masterclass. Thank you.